Hi, this is Sweet Jew, and I'm back at you with another interesting video topic. Hope everybody's doing great today. I want to thank all my subscribers for subscribing to my channel. Now, I know someone wants to hear this message that I got to talk about right now. Uh, or somebody needs to hear. I don't know if they want to hear it, but someone needs to hear it. So, whoever needs to hear this message, they're going to get it. You can't keep a man. You can't keep having a baby is not going to keep a man. Having a man's baby is that's what I want to talk about. Having a man's baby is not going to keep a man. Like I said, somebody needs to hear this. I don't know who needs to hear it, but somebody need to hear it. So I'm here to spread the message. Having a baby does not keep a man. I know a lot of women, like these young ladies, they got a thing now where I listen to some of these young ladies on Facebook, and they have this thing talk about where they're talking about baby cravings. And I'm like, baby cravings? I've never had no baby cravings. I mean, what the heck are these young ladies talking about, baby cravings? But they be talking about, I'm having baby cravings and stuff like that, and, or baby fever. Yeah, it's a new term. They call it baby fever. Um, like, oh, I'm having baby fever. Really? Check your bank account and then come back and tell me if you're still having baby fever. It's just crazy. I just can't believe these young ladies. I mean, it's that's what they be saying on Facebook and stuff that they got baby fever. I was like, well, no, I never had no baby fever. Am I missing something? So I mean, they just want to pop out all these babies, and they have no idea how they're gonna take care of them. So, and I know that you know some young ladies. That's the oldest trick in the book. The oldest trick in the book is, that was done away with back in the '60s. Probably the '70s. Back in the old days, maybe in my mother's era, maybe when my mother was coming up in her era, maybe '40s, '50s, '60s, maybe '60s. Like I said, it was a different. It was a different time. Um, there was a more of a stigma if you had a baby in that time frame. In those time periods, it was more of a stigma. Being a single mother wasn't the thing. It just wasn't the thing to be a single mother in the 1940s and the 1950s and stuff like that. That just wasn't the thing to do unless you were married and your husband died and you became a widow, and that due to that you became a single mom, or by chance you got a divorce. Um, in which case the woman tried to remarry as soon as possible. Being a single mother and outside of marriage, you just didn't do it back in those days. And I know when women got pregnant, the unwed mothers, if you were an unwed mother back then, you got pregnant, somehow they would find a way to cover it up in the family, or they would even encourage the woman to give the baby up. You know, So it was a huge stigma back then to single motherhood, and so and men were held more accountable back in the old days. Back in the old days, men were held more accountable, whereas now the men are held accountable. I mean, it just seems like most of the blame is being placed on a woman when a child is born out of wedlock. Most people want to put most of the blame on the woman, like the man had no part in the conception of the child. It's amazing. And but back then, they did hold the man. They held the man at more accountability. And so if the woman did get pregnant, they highly encouraged that man to marry that woman. And 9 times out of 10, he did. So, needless to say, there were a lot of marriages that probably took place, um, basically based on the fact that the woman was pregnant, shotgun weddings or whatever you want to call them, and not necessarily out of love, but because the woman was pregnant and they didn't want that, stigma and everything. But it was a different time period. You got married, you had kids. You didn't have kids out of wedlock. I mean, back in those days, and if you did, there was a huge stigma. But nowadays, like I said, things have changed, and so I know back in the old days, because of that, because the men was held at a higher accountability, a woman could say, okay, well, I want this. She could be dating a guy, and and she want the guy to marry her. Maybe he's dragging his feet a little bit, proposing to her, and then they have relations, and then she gets herself pregnant. She get pregnant. She makes sure she gets pregnant, and then when she gets pregnant, you know, and she say, "Well, honey, I'm pregnant," and then back then the men did the right thing, and I'll say, "Okay, well, I guess we gotta get married." So there you go. It worked. It was. I guess that's what I'm getting at. It back in those old days. In the old days, it worked. When the man, the woman, got with the man, and and they had relations, and she got pregnant, and then the man married her. You know, it worked. But somehow when I probably around the 1960s, maybe 1960s, 70s, anytime after the 1960s, that trick went out the window. That trick went out the window after that, and men stopped falling for the okie doke. So a woman could not get pregnant in most cases. The woman could not get pregnant because that stigma, as time went on, um, single mothers became more common, and times were changing and getting more modern, and so that stigma was kind of taken away from single motherhood. It wasn't um, the stigma was taken away as time went on. There was no more of a stigma like it was back in the old days and everything. So because of that, and as time went on, um, they stopped expecting, they stopped holding that man to that accountability, because values started changing, and values started changing and everything like that, and time started stop. Well, I personally think that they got further and further away from the Bible, but um, that's what happened. So they stopped holding the man to that high standard, that you know expecting him to marry the woman and do the right thing. And so when that happened, um, the women couldn't do that anymore. It got to the point to women, and it got to the point to where that was the oldest trick, as they say, it's the oldest trick in the book, and it's the oldest trick in the book now, because a woman can't do that now. You can't get pregnant and expect a man to marry you, because 9 times out of 10, they not finna marry you. They gonna jump ship. That's what they gonna do. And so women can't do that anymore like they could back in the old days. It used to work like a charm, but women can't do that no more. So you can't get pregnant and expect a man to marry you, because first of all, the woman is most the one that gets blamed. She's the one that gets blamed in most cases, particularly the black woman. Particularly when there's a black woman involved, the black woman gets most of the blame for the pregnancy. You know, so the men are not held to that standard anymore, and they're not held to that accountability no more. And because they're not held to that accountability and that standard, in other words, you get a woman pregnant, you're not expected to marry her. The family doesn't expect you to marry her. The society doesn't expect you to marry her. So that took that away from that that they took that accountability away from the man. And because of then times have changed, values have changed, Um, we we all seen evidence of that on TV. We're seeing things on TV that we never seen before. I know when I was growing up and I would watch different shows, TV shows, they would hardly even show the man and the woman kissing. When you watch Leave It to Beaver and things like that, they would hardly show the husband and wife kissing and everything like that. Now they let it all hang out. Now, I mean, you gotta be turning channels and everything. If you're not trying to watch it, you gotta be turning the channels and stuff like that all the time. And so now they just show some of everything on TV, including homosexuality, everything. Same-sex people kissing and all this kind of stuff. You never used to see all that kind of stuff back in the old days. Back in the 60s and 70s, you didn't see that stuff on TV. But now they letting it all hang out. So it would be safe to say that values have changed. Values have changed, and everything. So single motherhood is more common now. It's not unusual to see a woman raising a child by herself. I think nowadays it's expected of women to do it now. It's just expected. And it's not even uncommon because teen pregnancy is at such a high rate. It's not uncommon to see, back in the old days, if a girl got pregnant as a teenager, they would send her off to some type of home for unwed mothers or whatever. And then they would encourage the girl, they would either take the baby away or they would encourage the girl to get the baby up for adoption. Because I've heard of quite a few cases where women had a baby, they had babies back in the 1950s and 60s, and they took the baby away, or they encouraged the woman, or they forced the woman to adopt them. Sometimes, in a lot of cases, they were forced to adopt the child out, and then they never seen that the records were sealed, and they never seen their child, and then all of a sudden, modern technology and everything, and they was able to see their child after 30, 40, years. They was able to see the child because they were forced to give the child up as a teen. I've heard a lot of cases like that. And so back then it was just a huge stigma. I mean, you were a teenager, you definitely didn't get pregnant. Nowadays it's not uncommon to see a 13-year-old girl pushing a stroller. I mean, unfortunately, yeah. 14-year-old, anybody that's 13 and older, um, it's not uncommon to see them pushing a baby stroller. I mean, it's just you see it. You might be a little shocked, but then it's more commonplace. Young unwed mothers and everything like that. So, and then and there's no stigma as far as well. I think there's a little bit of a stigma with black women, but there's no there when I mean there's no stigma. There's no stigma as far as okay, well, you got to give this baby up for adoption. We can't, let everybody know that our teenager had a baby and they try to hide it and things like that. It's not that kind of a stigma, you know, like it used to be back in the days. And so all that stuff has been removed. Value systems have changed and all that. In other words, and people, and spiritually, people are just spiritually bankrupt now, so to speak. And so, I mean, people are getting further and further away from the Bible and Bible standards and everything like that. I mean, that's quite obvious when we look around us and everything. And so, when a man gets a woman pregnant, he's not under any kind of obligation to marry that woman. There's not that stigma or that expectation or anything for him to do that. And so it is when you can't, how is it that you think that you can hold on to a man by getting pregnant? You can't hold on to a man by getting pregnant, because if you get pregnant, a lot of times people think that having a baby brings their, if they're in a relationship with a guy, and some women might think that having a baby is going to bring them closer together. If your relationship was not on solid foundation before the baby, what makes you think that it's going to be hunky dory after the baby, because sometimes a baby either makes it sometimes it a baby can add more stress to a relationship, because having a child is a life altering event. Having a baby is a life changing event. So because of having a baby is a life changing event, it sometimes can make things worse if your relationship is not on solid foundation. If your relationship is not on solid foundation before the baby, then when you have the baby, it's going to be even more rockier. you know so because now you have this other human being added to the relationship. And so in raising the child comes with certain stressors and stuff like that, and then you got to add on the stressors that's in the relationship. So it's not gonna, women fool themselves into thinking that, you know, and that doesn't keep a man. The only thing that keeps a man, somebody put on Facebook and I liked it, and I think I shared it. Being a beautiful woman doesn't keep a man. Being a good woman doesn't keep a man. They listed they listed some things. They said being beautiful doesn't keep a man. Being good sex, or being a good woman doesn't keep a man, or whatever. The only thing that keeps a man is a man that wants to be kept. And that is, somebody put that on Facebook, and I think I shared it. That is so true. The only thing that is going to keep a man is that man wanting to be kept. Okay, if he wants to be with you, if he wants to marry you, that's what he's going to do. Okay, because he wants to be with you, not because um, you're having his baby, you get pregnant and you have his baby. Sometimes that make him run away, particularly if it's a black man. It'll make. I'm not saying all black men, so don't get high off your horse, but um, let's face facts here. Sometimes if you get pregnant, that'll make them run away. you know, so you cannot have a baby to hold on to a man. That is the oldest trick in the book, and it doesn't work anymore. This is the year 2019. It's not going to work in the year 2019. You can't have no baby to hold on to no man. If only way he gonna keep, the only way you're gonna keep him is if he wants to be kept. If he wants to be with you, then he will be with you. But he is not going to be with you just because you carrying his baby. You know, if you carrying his baby and he doesn't want to be there, then he's still going to bounce. He's still going to bounce, and you'll be left raising that baby all by yourself. You'll be a single mom, and y'all, depending on if he wants to be there with the child, you guys will be co-parenting. If he doesn't want to be there for the child, then you in it on your own. You're in it on your own, and you're raising the child by yourself, without the involvement of the father. So that is the oldest trick in the book. You can't never have no baby to keep no man. So I don't know who needed to hear this, but I'm putting it out there. Doesn't work, ladies. It doesn't work. Cannot have a baby to hold on to a man. The only thing that's going to keep him there is if he wants to stay. If he wants to, he loves you and he wants to be with you. That's the only thing that's going to keep him there. Not a baby. A baby is not going to keep a man. In a lot of cases, it'll push him away. It's an old joke. There's a joke that says, mainly pertaining to black men. if if you want a man to run away from you, mention two things: marriage and babies. You mention those two things, they out of there. If you want a man, you don't want to be bothered with a man. Let's say the guy's trying to hit on you, he's trying to call you, he's trying to blow you, he's trying to stalk you a little bit. Well, not stalk you in wanting to hurt you, but wanting to be with you. And let's say you don't want to be bothered. Say, oh, I want a baby, I want to get married. As soon as you say that, zoom. Unless he really, really, truly wants to be with you, that might not work. But it's a joke. It's an old joke. You want a man to run away? That'll be a good. That's a good thing to get him out your life. Is mention those two things, marriage and babies. But that's particularly for the ones that don't want no commitment, all that, want to play the field and all that kind of stuff. But like I say, it should be a no-brainer for most women, but some of these young ladies out here might think it worked. So I'm here to tell you it doesn't work. Oldest trick in the book. So um, let me know in the comment section, sound off in the comment section what you think about my topic. Um, share your thoughts. I got some more interest. Stay tuned because I got some more interesting video topics coming up. Like and share my video. Well, you can share it if you want to. You don't have to. But please, if you're new to my channel, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. I promise you I got some more interesting content coming up. I got like 26, 20, 25 more topics that I got to cover up in. The wheels is turning. So I'm going to be clocking them out. So stay tuned. I got some more this year 2019. I got some good things coming up for you guys out there. So just stick with me. Bear with me. Okay. Have a blessed day. This is Sweet Jean.